I'm really excited to share this information with you guys today. I wanted to give you a little bit of background as to why I decided to do this. I have one of my male coaching clients he is a good guy. He's that type of guy that we all want, right? He's just someone who's just grounded, he's strong, he makes good money, he's got great manners, he's just a very kind and loving person. Hi, Lori. Hi, Ramey. I hope I'm saying your name right, Ramey or Rami? Ramey, I think. Anyway, he's so great, and we've been dealing a lot with his dating experiences, and he's been online, and he's so frustrated with the, online dating apps and the people that he's meeting. And I talk a lot to him about him, and he's like, well, women, well, they don't get it, and they don't understand, and I wish that they would know. And he listened to one of my podcasts that I made about, I can't remember the title of it, you guys. It was something about how long you should wait before having sex with a new partner, and it was really aimed towards women. He said, why don't you make something about men and men's experience? And I was like, what a great idea. So I decided to start doing like a formal interview with men, sitting them down and having one-on-ones with them. And the most exciting part about that was, even if we didn't get to finish the interview, because some of the guys I interviewed were across the country and time zone things, they were like texting me later going, can we finish the interview? I mean, this is stuff they want us to know, which is really, really cool in my eyes, because I know a lot about men. I have, as you guys know, 4 brothers, and just growing up with them and really getting into the heart of men, I think a lot of women out there just don't understand how they tick. But the thing is that they're not as complicated as a lot of women, I think, make them out to be. They read between the lines, they're trying to figure things out, and it's really a little bit more simple than a lot of women make it out to be, where they're trying to guess things, and frankly, it's just not that complicated. So I have a big pile of notes here. I got pages of notes. I don't know how fast I'll get through this. It's a lot of information, great information. I think will captivate you guys. I mean, I'm captivated by it. I just freaking love what these guys were saying and sharing, and they were so honest and vulnerable. And if I interviewed a couple guys at the same time, they were feeding off of each other, and they're like, yeah, that. And one might have had better words for something, and the other one was like, yeah, that's what I've been trying to say, because a lot of guys aren't really connected with their emotions like women are, and they really don't know how to express certain things to us, and they say it in kind of a straight, hard way, and then we're all offended, that they said something. And really, if we just paid attention to the heart behind the words, and we compassionately connected with them, I think it would decrease a lot of drama in relationships. So I'm going to ask you guys if you want to take notes, and I can answer some questions at the end. So, because I'm sure things will rise up in you as this conversation is going. And I would love to answer your questions. So, Ramey. Okay. Well, I figured it was like Janae, so it's kind of the same. Yay. Okay. So, for those of you that can't make it, I'm going to have this video up for probably about a week so that you guys can review it again if you want. And, if you want to watch it again, you can do that as well. So let me see where I'm at. I just want to follow my notes. You guys will probably see me looking down a lot. So one of the things that I want to start out with is that these are guys we're talking to. These are males, all right? And they used a lot of car or engine analogies and metaphors, which is really fascinating to me, because they kept saying stuff, and I was like, you guys, they're so men, right? They're such men that's the words that come to their mind. And that's one of the disconnects between male and female sometimes, not all, is that they don't know how to word things any other way. We're the sacred feminine. We're the one that are really connected to our heart for the most part. And, they're kind of out there, the brawn. And it was very interesting to me to listen to them and to watch and hear how they put things together and watch their hearts open. So I hope you guys get just as much from this as I did. I mean, even rewriting my notes, because I did it all on a piece of paper and then I typed it all up to be nice and neat. Even when I was rewriting it, I was like, God, this is so great. Anyway, enough of the ramble. I want to get started. Let me see. So the reason why I've been calling it third date sex or premature sex is because that's what these guys were calling it. because most of the time people have sex with people on the third date. Like that tends to be a thing if you look out there in the world. He also called it premature sex because sometimes it's too soon, and it's not just too soon for the woman, but it's too soon for the man too. And I'll get to that in a bit. So how they interpret it. So one of the reasons why they are hesitant with third date sex is because there's an unknown how the relationship is going to change after sex, which makes them very nervous. A lot of this is quoting from them, you guys, okay? This is not my words, this is their words. And they said they're not sure what's going to be expected of them now. So if you consider that going in, that, I'm going to have sex with this guy, that's going to trigger something inside of him where he's like, what does this mean now? What's going to be expected of me now? And many times they know that the relationship has changed, and they can sense that now the woman feels a commitment is expected. Like well, let me ask you guys this. Has any of you expected your relationship to change after you had sex? Did you view having sex now as the relationship is now committed? Post in comments if you do. Hi, Jules, you made it. Aw. I know she had to work late last night. So if you guys felt like your relationship changed after sex, put a thumbs up or something in the comments below. I know I did in my past. I was like, oh, we had sex now, so now we're a thing. Now we are committed. Well, that's not always the way a man views that. And we'll get deeper into that in a minute. But you need to know that oftentimes he freaks out inside after having third date or premature sex with a woman. And he thinks, and I'm quoting, what have I done? Because sometimes he is not ready yet. I see your yes, Lori. Good job. He is actually the one not ready yet. And one guy called it even being locked in. So think about that. We have early sex with them, and now all of a sudden they feel they are locked in, like their freedom has been taken away from them. Like, oh God, because I asked him this too. I said, why do you feel that way? And they said, because of what's happened in the past. So there's a lot of women out there that believe the second you have sex with a guy that you are now, you're mine, and I get to tell you what to do, and I get to run this relationship, or, try to get something from you to make me feel better, which makes him kind of back up and freak out a little bit. Sometimes they're happy about the connection, and sometimes they're not happy about that connection. They feel a level of regret. Now, they're not going to run up to you and say, kind of feeling regretful about having sex with you, too soon. They're just not like that. They're men for the most part. And, I'm talking for the most part with all of this that I'm saying. I'm not saying all men across the board are like this, because they're not. It's be ridiculous to say that all guys, A-L-L, all are like this, because they're just not. There's varying degrees of everything. But for the most part, sometimes they can feel a level of regret after they have sex. So there's 3 possible scenarios that can happen after premature / third date sex. And I'm going to read those to you. Now, these are their words. The first possible scenario is the relationship stalls. Car turn, right? I said they're going to have a lot of engine terminology. It stalls because that's when the level of regret comes in, because they're not really into the girl. She's not yet piqued his interest. And now this doesn't have to do with sex, because he wouldn't be dating you if he didn't think you were attractive or he was attracted to you. But he has sex with you, but you really haven't stirred his emotion yet. Not you per se, we're talking plural. Haven't really stirred his emotions yet. So he's just kind of on the fence with it. And what he'll do at that point is he will let the relationship fizzle out. Now, you guys that's ghosting, right? All of a sudden, he's not calling, he's not texting. He might be returning your calls, but that level of energy isn't there. Have you guys felt that? This girl has, for sure. So what happens in that scenario is that we can start feeling they're pulling away, them letting it fizzle. And what do we do for the most part? Some of us don't. We chase. We up our game. We start running after them. We start trying to do things for them. And guess what happens? If they're in the stall stage, what happens is that they feel our desperation and neediness, and it becomes even more unattractive, which a lot of times the woman starts getting really weirded out at that point because she has given her most sacred self to this man, and all of a sudden he's acting like she's nothing. That's one of the reasons why we don't really want to have sex too early in a relationship, because if he's unsure about us, this is what we're going to get, and then we're mad at him, right? So I'm going to get into why is it our responsibility, because people are like, well, he can say no, and he doesn't have to have sex with us that early. I get it. But again, we're all about taking personal responsibility for ourselves in this group, and it's really not about what he's doing, it's about what we're doing. So let me move on here. Oh, one more thing about the stall stage, that most often it's best to cut your losses and move on if that happens, because he was on the fence to begin with. You hadn't yet, pulled him in, and after sex, he realizes where he's at. And he's like, yeah, I'm just not feeling this with her. Now, the same way that you guys have said, sometimes you don't feel chemistry, or, there's a nice guy, he's a nice guy, but I just can't quite get there with him. Well, that's what they feel too. So I want to stress that this is not because you're bad in bed, or you didn't do the special position or wear the lingerie. This is truly a personality, a chemistry type level with them, and it's not about your looks. It's just about chemistry. It's just not there. The second possible scenario that can happen is called, this is their words again, the explore possibility. I'm going to do this a lot, you guys, because why is my camera weird? I look fuzzy to me. Do I look fuzzy to you guys? I don't know. It doesn't look that clear, and I have this special camera, so I don't know. Anyway, the second one is the explore possibility. Now, what they said about this is that he's still not sure about you, meaning he's not in love yet. Okay, he hasn't fallen for you yet, but he wants to see. So this is, you've already had sex. He's not stalling, but he's still in the explore stage, and he wants it to progress in a natural way. He still wants to get to know you. He still wants to see what you're all about, and he wants it to progress organically. So he wants to see that there's no games and that there's organic communication, and he wants to see where it goes from there. And what he said, many of them, I'm saying he is the general term, okay, you guys, because I read a lot of my notes to other guys going, so what do you think about this? They're like, yeah. And I have to tell you, it's 100% across the board. They all agreed with each other. Now, I want to say real quickly that we are talking about good men, quality men, which means not narcissists, jerks, losers, abusers, addicts, cheaters, serial cheaters. I'm talking about quality men, okay? Because this is going to look very differently for the other type of men, the narcissists, the cheaters, the users, abusers. I want you to get into the head of what a quality man is thinking. People are answering, bit fuzzy, but not a problem. Thank you, Barbara. Yeah, I don't know what that's all about because it's a standard. Maybe if I wipe it, do you guys mind if I just wipe it real quick? Hold on. Yeah, kind of the same. All right, I got to figure that out. So, in that stage, he doesn't want to feel like he's in debt to you. And I will tell you about that in a little bit. He doesn't want to feel like just because I was talking about way in the beginning of this, that they feel like something has changed. Well, they don't want to feel that way. They want to feel like you gave your sex willingly and as an adult, a mature adult that said, okay, let's do this. But he doesn't want to feel like it's in exchange for his commitment. So they're looking at this, looking at you, looking at the way you handle yourself, and they're trying to figure out if you're going to be a good fit for them. Again, you can still abstain from this. You don't have to have sex with them early. You can still abstain. I'll tell you more about that a little bit later, because if you're still unsure and you feel like he's unsure or there's not quite a connection, in my opinion, I don't want to put myself through that. I know me. And if I'm opening up my goods for somebody, that's really super intimate to me. This person has to earn this. But when I've done that too soon in the past, I felt like crap. I did not like it. I didn't like the unknown because that was such a sacred space for me that it would mess me up. So you guys comment below if that has messed you up in the past. If you feel like you give your sacred space to somebody and then it kind of changes the way you see the relationship in him, and it makes you feel like kind of weird and wonky, like you might start acting a little different because of that. Now, a woman who knows herself and who has good self-maintenance and knows what she wants and when she's ready and aware, the explore stage won't bother her because she's got her. She's got nothing banked on how he interprets this or chooses, because she's still figuring it out herself too. Now remember, in the explore stage, he's not in love yet. That hasn't happened yet. Now the third possibility, this might blow you guys away. Their words, not mine. Fear. Fear. Third possibility that can happen in early premature sex is fear. They get scared. Now we all go, oh, he's scared. Oh, I think he's scared. And we make excuses for them sometimes when they're actually in the stall stage. That's where it's going to get a little murky for us because we don't really know the difference between the fear and the stall. But let me explain what the fear looks like. Again, their words, he's really into you. And it's scaring the crap out of him. So he'll do one of two things. He's going to chase you or he's going to run. Now that doesn't mean he's going to run really far or run away forever. It can mean, again, who knows who we're talking about. They got their backstories. I dated that guy, so into me, and then boom, he ran. And he was literally afraid, and he was not coming back. He was like, I can't do this. And for whatever reason, he couldn't. And that was fine with me. Not really at the time, but I got it later. So I don't want a person like that. And I hope that you don't either, because if someone's not ready, they're not ready. Let them go with love. Let them go with love. It's okay. They're a human being and they have their stuff that they have to deal with too. So he really likes you. So the chasing, he becomes needy. Now he may show it. He may not show it. And he will overcompensate with you to hide his fear. He's going to up his game and he's going to try to do things to win you over. Now, sometimes when guys do this, we're like, ew, what is happening here? Why is he doing this? Because all of a sudden the guy likes us and we're not used to that. We might be used to the jerks and the a-holes that, act like they don't care. So we're forever in the chasing stage, which there's something about the chasing stage with a woman. Sometimes it makes you feel like he's a good catch because you can't quite catch him. Well, if he's not a guy for you, then we got to know that we don't chase. We don't chase because they're going to show up. That is what scenario number 3 is showing us. Even though it's fear, they're going to show up when they like us. They want us. And the running stage, I had to talk to them several times about this because I wanted to be clear so I could be clear for you guys. Tell me what running looks like. I'm like, do you run away forever? And they go, oh, no. We just kind of take a step back because, and this might really blow your mind, he's afraid of pushing you away, and he's afraid that you might see his unworthiness and faults and not accept him. Yeah, unworthiness is not gender specific. We all have our fears. But as a woman, I believe that when a man comes to us like that, when we stop looking at him as the knight in shining armor that's supposed to be so strong and bold and march in and sweep us off our feet, and the way, I'm sorry, but Hollywood and Disney movies has made it looked, it's not like that. It's not like that. They're human beings and they feel too. But oftentimes we want to come in and rescue them. No, this is just about understanding. We just have to understand that they might be a little wigged out right now because they're feeling something for you. Maybe they haven't felt it in a long time. Maybe they've had some bad experiences or a little tainted by some ways other women have treated them. And so They just kind of need to take a minute and kind of slow things down. So they're either going to chase you, they're going to run all after you and be all up in your grill, or they might kind of pause a little bit. I made a special note that said, we're gonna wonder what's happening if he's a runner, if he's gonna push back a little bit, because it's gonna make us feel like he doesn't care. So my best advice to you guys at that point is, when in doubt, let him seek you out. So you can still message if you want, but don't get overzealous trying to land him. He will show up for you. You're going to notice. If you're quiet enough in your soul, this is why I talk about all the time, the core of healing this for us, this dysfunctional pattern, is by getting good with ourselves. Because when we're good inside and our worthiness is more intact than ever before, and we know our value, we're not as nervous in relationships. I don't know about you guys, but when my worthiness was not intact, I would get nervous when I would first start dating somebody. I was like twiddling my thumbs, when's he going to call? I was all that kinds of stuff. But when you start to heal this stuff inside yourself, you're more observant. You just kind of sit back and you look and you pay attention and you observe. You can still reach out to him, but let him seek you out if you're not sure. He's going to show back up again, unless, like I said, he's the one that runs forever and stays away. Most of the time, it's more in this area. He's going to show up for you. You just got to help him to feel secure too. So that's going to beautiful segue into 3 signs he's into you. Now, this can be a little bit different for each guy. They blew these signs at me so fast I can't even tell you. Boom, 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 boom. They were and just feeding them off each other. The first sign is he wants to touch you a lot. Now, if you're with a guy that is physically affectionate, he's going to touch you. He is going to, touch you when you're walking into the restaurant. He's going to put his hand on your leg in the movie. He might hold your hand in the car. He's going to touch you. He's touching you. He's being vulnerable. That's hard for them. All right. So now, not all men are super touchy. My husband wasn't, but he was very scared too, but he wasn't super touchy. But if I touched him, man, he glommed onto me. So I knew that just wasn't his outward way of showing love and affection. He had other ways of showing it, which I'll get into. But I just had to know that for myself, because again, I'm in a calmer space, so I'm more in observance mode. The second thing is he wants to connect with you daily or close to daily through text and calls and seeing you. He wants to connect with you. So if he's reaching out to somebody, well, he texted me today. All he said was, "How are you?" So what? Start a conversation. "I'm great. How are you? What are you up to today?" Sometimes they're not great conversationalists. This doesn't mean they're bad guys, all right? Sometimes it's just going to be telling you about them. "Oh, I went to this meeting today," or "I got my car washed today." They're reaching out to you. So that's important to know. If there's a steady stream of that coming in, he's most likely into you. The third one is he's available. He's available. And what that means is he's willing to change his plans to accommodate seeing you. He wants to see you. And I was like, wow. And then I thought about it. It's like, that's true. They will do that. They will change their plans to accommodate seeing us. Now, this doesn't mean we run amok and invite them every single where. And then, they're going to have to say no because they have their own things going on too. It just means they want to be there. They want to show up for you. Okay, I'm going to switch into a completely different topic, which is why talking about sex with him matters while dating and forward. One of the men said that his wife eliminated the unknowns, the scary parts of starting a sexual relationship, because she was bold and forthcoming about sex. She wasn't bossy. She wasn't controlling. She just was forthcoming, open, honest, open communication about what she liked, what she didn't like, when she would like to start having sex with him. And she said that she wanted to wait until it was time because they were just getting to know each other. And what happens a lot with this is we tend to let the guys take the lead. You know, whenever he tries it on for size with us, we're like, okay, you know, we kind of let them take the lead. There is nothing wrong with saying, you know, when the conversation comes up, just saying, hey, you know, I like sex. I'm a sexual human being. I love it. It's wonderful. And, you know, I want to wait because I don't really know you and I want to get to know you when the time is right. And I'm going to go into why they like that. So going back to really quick, what her forthcoming conversation did for him. Now, again, we're talking about good men here, talking about good guys. He said he felt safer going at a comfortable pace. That made him feel safe. Think about it. They're jumping into this strange unknown abyss just like we are. So it made him feel safer. He said he also got to learn more about her. He got to get to know her better. And he also saw her strength and her willingness to take care of herself. And a lot of times men interpret that as when we're willing to take care of ourselves, they see us as strong enough to handle their emotions, because a lot of men don't share their emotions because they don't get supported in it, because they're called wussies and wimps and all these things. But when they see that we're strong emotionally, then they're more willing to share their stuff with us, and they secretly need that. That's something they want that they don't outwardly talk about. She looked different and special to him when she started talking about, you know, what the sexual plan was going to be in their relationship. And it wasn't like you said she didn't go on and on about it. It was just a conversation. They moved on. Eventually, the momentum of the relationship took over in a very natural and organic way, and the relationship progressed naturally. And eventually, they ended up having sex. And there was no regrets. There was no of him feeling locked in or losing their freedom. She didn't feel like she needed to chase him, and everything just kind of fell into place. One guy said to me he wished that more women were open and vulnerable and could bring up, no, I'm sorry, he wished he could bring up this topic. And I think the reason why men don't is, can you imagine if we're a couple dates in and he starts talking about sex? The majority of women are going to go, he's already talking about sex. That's all he wants from me. What if he just wants to talk about it? I want you guys to be able to explore with them, talk about it with them, watch his behaviors over his words. Is he just talking? Is he just getting clear about a few things? Is he just sharing with you? Another guy said, quote unquote, I wish to hell every girl would talk about sex. Every guy is so effing scared because he doesn't know if he will be accepted or will please her. Now that's actually while they're in you know, doing sex, having sexual intercourse. See, they're so afraid they're not doing it right. Because again, there's a lot of things out there in the world. I'm just going to say it, there's penis size, there's position size, there's romantic movies, there's all these things, and guys feel like they're held up against a certain standard. And if we're honest with ourselves, a lot of us do hold them up to a certain standard of things that we're hearing and seeing out in the world of what men should be doing. And they want us to communicate with them. I had one person I know who did not like something that her boyfriend was doing sexually in bed, and she would just get mad and go pout and, you know, complain to me later. And I said, are you talking to him? No. I said, talk to him. He's into you. You guys been dating for 3 months. Talk to him. Let him know what you want. And she was like, you know, it was very scary to her. I think eventually they did have that conversation, which was good. Okay, so no double standards there about you're willing to talk about sex, and if he brings it up that you're going to automatically judge him for that, because he's got to be able to talk about it to you guys. We want equal. What we're aiming for here is equal, reciprocally loving and open and honest communication. It can't happen unless the guy is allowed to say his stuff and that you can meet him at that. Let me see what else we got here. Learning curve to sex, be open and communicative about what you like. Don't make him guess. And one guy said, quote unquote, and for Pete's sakes, don't do something in the beginning of the relationship sexually that you really don't like to do and are willing and unwilling to do going further. I have my no zones, if you guys know what I mean. There's like nope, that will not happen. Don't even think about that. And that was the end of it. My husband didn't think anything of it. He's never like, oh, come on. I was like, not doing that. So just let you know. There's no, we don't want to compromise our sacred selves just to get the guy. And then later we're like, we changed the game on him. Not cool. So I want to talk to you guys real quick about the microwave versus the crock pot. For most people, there's a level of physical excitement that reaches a point of no return. And what happens with that is men reach that level quickly. One guy even said, quote unquote, don't put a legal document in front of me once I'm to that point of no return, because I'd sign anything. So what I'm saying is that women, we're kind of slower to percolate. We're more like the crock pot, where the man is the microwave. They can get turned on hot and heavy really fast. And a lot of times women need floor play, and they need to, kind of work into it. And so there's a bigger buffer for us to be able to say, that's enough, and kind of cut it short. Because premature and third date sex changes a relationship. They're often happy when we're able to stop before we actually consummate the thing, because they don't want to regret it either, and they don't want to feel pressured to progress the relationship too soon. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I don't know about you guys, but I've been hot and heavy making out with someone, and then I'm like, okay, we got to just stop this right now. Just can't go any forward with this right now. Well, to be honest, at the time when I would say that, I felt kind of bad about it, and I never got any backlash. I didn't. They were like, okay, because they probably wanted to stop it, but they couldn't, because they're a damn microwave, and they were like 0 to 800, and they're just ready to go. The Meatloaf song, Paradise by the Dashboard Lights. I hope you guys know what I'm talking about. If you do, make a comment there, say yes. He wants to have sex with this woman, and she's going, do you love me? Will you love me forever? And he's like, no. And then finally he goes, yes, I love you forever. I love you forever. And yeah. And then he starts to regret it, because he just got what he wanted. And then he was like, shoot, I shouldn't have done this. If you guys haven't heard that song, listen to it, because it's fantastic. Meatloaf, Paradise by the Dashboard Lights. Great song, but that's a prime example. He nailed it. And what happens, because the guy gets in there, but we want all these promises afterwards. Not all the time, again. So, oh, okay. So they don't want to feel like they're indebted to you. This is a really important point. One guy was dating this girl for like 3 months, and just being wonderful to her and her kids. And he was a great guy. And she wanted him, he's very, very helpful too, and she wanted him to come over and fix the sink, and he couldn't because of X, Y, Z reasons. And she goes, well, then I'm not having sex with you. So she was using sex as leverage. Like, I'll have sex with you as payment for this. And he literally said to me, and kindly and sweetly, he goes, doesn't that make her a prostitute? She's basically paying for me to do her plumbing or whatever it was. And I was like, wow. So look at the way they see that they have to perform some task for us in order for us to have sex with them. They don't want that. They don't want it to feel, they want to know that we're giving to them openly and fully with no strings attached. And if we can't do that, then we shouldn't do that. And they're okay with that. Alrighty. Okay, so this is one of the most important things I want to get to, is that this is the differences between dating sex, how they interpret it, and in love committed sex. So pre-love, third date sex, they see it as fun, exciting, exploration, connection. However, there's no bond and no emotional safety. Okay, it's at this point just kind of fun, exciting, it's exploring, it's connecting, but there's no bond and there's no emotional safety for them. One guy said it's new and exciting. It's like it's like a ramped up high RPM, of course, because there's another engine analogy. He also said that sometimes it's a means of them getting validated that you might like them too. Like you're a viable relationship, like they're a viable relationship option for you. It also means sometimes it's their worthiness. Okay, so now let's go into the in love versus or in love committed sex, what this means to them. And are you sitting down? Because a lot of women don't know this. Now, this is their words. Connection, sharing without words, safety, unspoken acceptance. They feel loved and a nurturing bond. Girlfriends, this is their words. This massive group of guys, this is how they're talking. They're not all about it, just getting off once they're in a relationship with you. It means so much more to them. One guy said it's cruising the RV to cool shit rather than the ramped up high RPM. So the ramped up high RPM is right, but then you're in your RV, you're comfortable, and you're cruising. That's how I interpret it. They said it makes them feel inclusive and part of a whole of the relationship connection, and it changes the depth of sexual intercourse. This guy said the color palette is more flavorful. It's not just getting off. And then, yeah, I have a visual aid. Dating, sex, primary motive goes in this order. Can you see it? Getting off is number one. That's their number one reason for dating premature sex or not in love with you. Just getting off, having a good time. Number two is exploration. And number three is intimacy. Now, once they are in love with you, the entire gig changes. It turns into number one, which was number three. The whole thing flips upside down. The first reason is for intimacy. The second is for exploration. And the third reason is for getting off. Men, here's where there's a huge disconnect between men and women. Women want to feel loved to have sex. Men feel loved when they're having sex. So that can cause a big disruption in relationships because they actually feel loved by intercourse, where we want to feel loved in order to have intercourse. All right, so that is pretty much the end. I'm just going to give you a few of my bonus thoughts. This is per conversation with them, but it didn't really have to do with sex. Number one, if you're interested in a man, act like it. For example, if he asks you out and you're busy, offer an alternative time. Say, I can't do Thursday, but I could do this. Many women try to play it cool and, he needs to chase me. But if you play it too cool, he's going to think you're not interested and he's going to move on. You have to show interest in him as well and don't leave him hanging. He puts himself in a very vulnerable space when he asks you out. And it's important to him that you show you care and that you're interested so that he keeps showing up for the situation. The second thing I want to talk to you about is when you wait until a man is clearly smitten with you or in love with you, you'll be able to feel it. There will be no question. He'll be falling all over himself to be with you. There's no risk so much when we wait for that stage with a man to have sex with them. There's only reward. Because once we know this guy is really into us, then having sex with them is going to be more of a bonding situation. I mean, it's going to be new and exciting too because it's a new partner, but it's going to be more of a bonding situation where we're going to feel closer for both of you. You're both going to feel closer in that because the relationship has progressed to a deeper level. There's less stress when we wait to kind of know that they're into us, and they'll tell us and they'll act like it, but you'll be able to know. If there's a question, you gotta think about that. I'm not really sure he's into me. Well, start looking at things. Put on your observation goggles and start paying attention. Is he or isn't he? Is it time or isn't it not time? So I just wrote, no more unnecessary notches on your bedpost. No more unnecessary risks of STDs or pregnancies. And it saves everybody a lot of fear, drama, and pain. I really hope you guys got a lot from this. I know I did. I loved sharing it with you guys. If you have any questions, post down here in comments, or if you just want to make any comments, let me know what you're thinking about. And doesn't look like anybody has any questions right now. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I certainly did. And I hope you have an amazing day. All righty? Peace out, everybody.